I saw a TikTok the other day of somebody saying that part of the reason why so many women are choosing to stay single and not get married is because there's way too many grown men that don't know that you're supposed to wash your booty hole in the shower. And it reminded me of the time I was dating this guy, and this TikTok from Nicki Minaj came up on my For You page where she was like, you need to wash your ass in the shower. And I saw that TikTok and I was in a silly goofy mood. So I asked him, I was like, when you're in the shower, do you like spread your cheeks to let the water in? And he was like, nobody does that. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I just asked both of my roommates and they said they don't do that either. Like literally nobody does that. And he was like arguing with me about the fact that you're not supposed to wash your booty hole in the shower. And
Y'all remember Darius Jackson, the content creator who got exposed for cheating on his wife like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago? I don't remember. He made a video which I unfortunately found myself agreeing with. So instead of stitching it and giving him any more attention because he truly irks me, I'm gonna just have to make a video about it myself. In the video, he was saying that a lot of times when a woman is single for a long time, men or sometimes even other women will look at her like there's something wrong with her, when a lot of times that woman is just very smart. And he's 100% right. The longer that you go without a man, the clearer you start seeing things. And the clearer you can see, baby, the worse it is. But no, seriously, when you stop operating from a place of, oh, I need a relationship, I need a man, and you start really looking at these men for who they are and what they have to offer and what they can really bring to your life, the quicker you will start to realize that a lot of them are just not worth all of what we thought that they were. This is not me hating on men. This is not that. This is me defending single women. That's it. The longer that you go without a man, the less stuff that you start to tolerate, and the better you are at detecting when a man is really not worth your time. When your desire for partnership stops overriding your desire for genuine respect and genuine love, then you will start to see things so differently, and it is going to change you. You're going to make decisions that you probably would not have made before, and you're going to be a lot less willing to accept and settle for just anything. And the longer that you go being alone, at least in my experience, the more you enjoy being alone. And then that means when a man does come along, he's going to have to actually do something. You're going to have to make a real difference in my life, and you're going to have to make it very clear, because I am no longer just looking to be booed up just for the sake of being booed up. No, sir, you're going to have to come over here with something tangible, something real, and something genuine. Otherwise, I can stay by myself. And the clearer you can see, baby, the worst.
She talks here about how we need to stop this stigma of single women, because single women actually are single by choice, and they're single because they've done the requisite work to realize what they're worthy of, and they have now replaced that with the need to be chosen. I have been going through this the last year, and it is absolutely a mind F when you realize how much you have put up with mistreatment and breadcrumbs because you need to be chosen. And it is a thing that is replete in our culture, especially for women. We are taught from a young age via Disney movies that to be chosen is the end game. And especially in a religious patriarchal structure that I grew up in, I was taught as a little girl that to be chosen by a man was the ultimate goal. And once I was no longer chosen by a man because I was choosing to be a hermit, I was being very choosy with the types of men that I allowed into my sphere, I had to reckon with myself. I had to reckon with my value, with my self-worth. It has probably been the hardest shadow work I have ever done, because when people talk about decentering men, that does not mean that we hate men, and that does not mean that we want to be single forever or that we never want to be in a relationship again. It simply means that self-love is always honoring ourselves and never abandoning ourselves. And too often, women, myself included, some of my girlfriends, they are self-abandoning to be chosen. They are putting up with breadcrumbing and toxic behavior from men to be chosen. And so all decentering men means is loving yourself enough to be single and to attend to your own needs rather than abandon yourself over and over again to be chosen. It is a huge part of self-love. Self-love is not all bubble baths. It is never abandoning yourself. And I will tell you right now, having stringent standards, having the bar be up here as opposed to it being down here, has drastically decreased the amount of male attention that I have. And it has forced me to go inward and heal myself and look at all of the ways that I felt my whole life that I needed to be chosen to have value and worth, and to find value and worth within myself without it centering around being chosen by a man.
By 20, 30, 50% of the women will be without a man. The men that are looking for those traditional values are starting to go overseas. The other half of the men are just checking out completely. They don't want to deal with women at all. So this is going to be a big issue that women are going to deal with in the future.
Spoiler alert, we do not care. Also, you definitely didn't read the study that statistic is from, so let's take a look at it. The study was done by Morgan Stanley, and this is what they have to say about it. What's driving this trend? For starters, more women are delaying marriage, choosing to stay single, or divorcing in their 50s and 60s. Women are also delaying childbirth or having fewer children than in the past. Do you see that keyword? Choosing. It's on purpose. They also talk about how women control a large share of the U.S. wallet because we are the primary shoppers for 72% of households, meaning groceries or any household needs. We buy it 72% of the time. And women are now the primary breadwinners in nearly 40% of U.S. households. Notice how that percentage of women breadwinners aligns pretty closely with the percentage of women choosing to be single. It's almost like the less that we have to rely on you financially, the more irrelevant you become. So in summary, women are choosing to be single because we're becoming more and more financially independent, meaning we have the freedom to actually choose partners who benefit and enrich our lives. That means men who are emotionally intelligent and desire equal partnership. And if you're confused why women are not wanting that traditional partnership that you are desiring, it's because it pressures us into being financially dependent on you and subservient to you, meaning you can stay emotionally unavailable and you can avoid doing the inner work that you very clearly need. And by saying that y'all are just going to start going overseas and leaving us alone, you're just threatening us with a good time.
There's a lot about the experience that women are having with dating when so many would rather just have a cat. So a massive difference between what men think makes dating hard versus what women are actually.
Let's talk about it from the women's perspective here, because I think a lot of women will back me up when I say it's so irritating that these boys will constantly complain that women don't want to date them. And then when we try to tell them nicely why, they just continue to ignore us and complain. Because guess what? 15%, an all-time high of boys surveyed, said they had 0 close friendships and relationships in their life. So if you're not listening to women, listen to each other, because apparently boys don't even really want boys in their lives. Let's talk about it. And I want to give credit to those 2 creators as my first example here. They did an amazing job, and the entire time I was watching their videos, the whole time I was watching their videos, I was just thinking, are they really this attractive right now? Or are they just self-aware and speaking with empathy for the struggles of women? And that right there shows you what women are actually looking for. Interestingly enough, most men reported are single. Most women are not. When you look at the stats from Gen Z, you'll see about 63% of the boys are single reportedly. But only 34% of the women our age are single. And for this poll of millennials and Gen Xers combined, roughly, you'll see that men are still on average more single than the women. And boys' main argument for always being like 90% of the users on dating apps are men. They're not actually. Only 62% of the users on dating apps reportedly are men. That's a pretty decent ratio. So clearly there's not a huge lack of women and men to be partnered together. We have to take into account that there are LGBTQ men and women. So why are the majority of women who date men choosing to be single instead of having to deal with dating? Why has a woman decided that a cat is better than dealing with a boy? Well, ladies, let's talk about it and give them the answers here today. Relationship standards have been raised slightly, yes, but not in the way that boys complain about them. We expect boys to have greater skills, but what are these skills? These skills are things like better communication, empathy, understanding, emotionally available, and sharing our values. Sharing our values brings up another great point. More young women now are trending more to the left than before, and men aren't following the pattern quite as heavily as women. And yes, we can be kind and get along with people on the right. That's not the issue. I have some mutuals that lean towards the right. When it comes to a lifelong partner, women really do want someone who shares those core values and basic human beliefs, which means that these divides not keeping up with each other are going to have a greater impact on dating. I also really love the points that this article brought up. There is a huge double standard when it comes to dating choices and safety. The burden of choosing the right partner feels like it always falls on the girls. But then we're always being yelled at and told to give a guy a chance regardless of whether we're attracted to that man. But then if we get into an unsafe relationship, the women are blamed for choosing the wrong man and just letting any man have a chance. So we're supposed to choose the right partner, and we're told to give everybody a chance, but don't just be giving everybody a chance. But if you don't give everybody a chance, then you're just being too picky. But also, if you're not picky enough, then it's your fault for choosing that man. Yeah, no wonder most women are just opting out of this song and dance. A lot of men, for some reason, simply lack empathy or don't have great social skills. And we're not here to parent you into learning those things anymore. Again, the way men have treated women has just burnt us all out from dating. All of these double standards are exhausting to deal with. And then a big one I hear all the time, many women feel like men just don't actually even like women. Even the way a lot of boys treat us and talk about us and behave and scrutinize and pick us apart. It's like, do you even like us? Okay, because at the end of the day, then you complain that you don't have a girl. But it doesn't even seem like you really like them. And for that cherry on top, study after study after study are coming out saying that women are just happier being single nowadays. So it's really not like boys are competing with the top 10% of men. You're competing with our happiness, our peace, our quiet time, our joy. It's like I always explain to my family when they ask, it's so hard for me to date because I am like genuinely very happy all alone. So when I actually find a man, not only do I have to find one that doesn't add more stress into my life, but you have to somehow bring more joy to it as well, as I would hope that I bring them as well. I like to believe I bring my partner a lot of joy in life.
A video that went viral recently about how women are prioritizing peace over low-grade, low-effort relationships with men. And the number one comment that I got from men was, well, fine, if you can live without us, we're just not going to protect you anymore. So first of all, who exactly are you protecting us from? Is it Sarah that we're afraid is going to break into our home and assault us? Or is it men? Is it men that you're protecting us from? Secondly, when women say that we'd rather have peace and safety, we're not talking about physical safety. We're talking about emotional safety. The reason there is an epidemic of lonely, depressed men is because women would rather be alone than in an emotionally unsafe relationship. I feel that we're in emotional danger when we can't be vulnerable and express how we feel. We're being constantly criticized or put down or ignored. Or all the men run to the comments and say, well, we want to be valued too. Yes, you deserve that. But why are 72% of divorces initiated by women? And why statistically are women thriving in singledom and men are not? It is because women en masse are willing to put in the work, be self-reflective, and do what it takes to show up, and men simply are not.
Article on Twitter that was like, the standards of dating have changed for women since COVID, and here's why.
A few weeks ago, my friend had a dinner party for her birthday, and I got the times mixed up, so I was insanely early, and I made myself very comfortable at the bar. I sat down next to this white woman who was older, and she was married, and she started talking to me. Her husband was also there that night, but he did not pay any attention to her. It was like she didn't exist. She started telling about the restaurant and how they moved out of the city and lived in the suburbs so they could raise their son, and, you know, he was 16, so he's about to be going off to college soon, and she was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. She's like, my husband works so much, like, I'm gonna be by myself again. And without even thinking, I was like, that sounds lonely. And she just kind of looked at me. And then my friend showed up. So then I started telling him about the woman at the bar. And I'm telling him about how, you know, this woman is trying to find stuff to do because once her son moves out for college, like, she's gonna be in this big old house in the suburbs by herself because her husband works nonstop. All of us collectively were like, well, why even be married? The men that say you're gonna die alone. Well, there are women that are married that are still just as lonely. So, like, what's the difference? I guess you could say that younger women actually want partners that pay attention to them.